Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here today to another edition of NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the channel. We've got another full race live stream for you guys. It is the Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We were originally going to have a doubleheader for today, or I should say, for today. It was going to be this race, and then we were going to do Road America for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. The Xfinity Series race will be postponed till tomorrow. We will be running just this race today. But 400 miles of action, Cup Series side, Winston Cup Series, in fact. And now we're going to take you through the starting lineup in today's stories heading into this race at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Welcome to the Homestead-Miami Speedway for today's NASCAR Winston Cup race, the Ford 400. I'm here with Barney Hall. NASCAR ran its first race here in 1999. What do you think of this track?
Well, with the new additions this year, I expect a different race than we're used to. Usually speeds are relatively tame due to the flatness of the racetrack. But with the new banking added this year, you could expect speeds to be much, much quicker.
Michael Waltrip joined DEI at the start of the 2001 season and got a win in his very first race for his new team.
He followed that up with some very impressive runs at the restrictor plate tracks. He's always had a knack for drafting, and with top-notch equipment, you'll be sure to see him up near the front.
The 45 car has been struggling in his qualifying runs this year.
And boy, does that drive you crazy as a driver. But hey, anybody can win when they start up front, right? Well, okay, maybe that's where he would rather be. But he can get up there. It just takes some patience.
Greg Biffle has had some bad luck the last two races.
I believe they got a good chance to turn the luck around right here. These guys have been working extra hard this week.
Worse than bad luck.
This may pay off for them in the end.
Take you through today's starting lineup for the Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And we'll start off, as usual, with the front row. The Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, on the pole. No surprise there. Another pole award on the season for him, and another start on the front row. Jeff Gordon will be outside pole in second for today's race. Sterling Marlin, Dale Jarrett will be back in row number 2. In row 3, we've got Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth. Kenseth led a lot of laps in last night's Coke 600. Kevin Harvick, winner of the Daytona 500 this season. Jimmy Johnson had a great run throughout the course of the race last night. Looked like he might have been able to pull things off at the end. Things did not go his way. Did finish with a top 10 finish. Bobby Labonte outside of him in row 4. In row number 5, we've got Jeff Burton and Ricky Craven. And in row number 6, we've got Michael Waltrip and Robbie Gordon. Behind those guys in row number 7, we've got Tony Stewart, the Winston Cup points leader after a top 5 run last night, looking to have similar success, if not better today. Rusty Wallace will start outside of him. Elliott Sadler, Hermie Sadler, both the Sadler brothers will be in row number 8. Behind those two, in row number 9, we've got Bill Elliott and Mark Martin, couple of savvy veterans there. Martin, it's been a while since he's been to victory lane this year. That was back in the second race of the season at Atlanta. Ricky Rudd and Kurt Busch will be in row number 10. Rudd looking for his second win of the season. Kurt Busch trying to get his first. Behind those guys in row number 11, we've got Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kenny Wallace. Dale Jr. has won 2 of the last 7 races, though the last 2 races, things have not gone his way. Looking for a bounce-back performance at Homestead this afternoon. Kevin LePage, Ken Schrader in row 12. Behind those guys in row number 13, we've got Christian Fittipaldi, 2002 Daytona 500 winner Ward Burton. For Burton, he DNF'd early in last night's race, looking for redemption today. Jeff Green, a 2-time winner on the season, sweeping the Daytona doubleheaders within the last 7 races, and Joe Nemechek will start outside of him in row 14. Behind those guys in row 15, we've got Brett Bodine and Jerry Adu. And behind those guys in row 16, we've got Jamie McMurray and Jeremy Mayfield. Back in row number 17, it's Steve Park and Kyle Petty. Park's struggles in qualifying continue going into today's race. Rookie Casey Mears is inside row 18. Outside of him, one-time winner in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Johnny Benson. Jack Sprague and Stanton Barrett, a couple more rookies in row 19, starting 37th and 38th in the field. In row 20, we've got Kevin Grubb and Terry Labonte. Labonte has had a very rough season, both in qualifying and race performance. Looking for better hopes today. Mike Skinner, Ashton Lewis will be back in row 21. And last but not least, rounding out the field due to not qualifying is Greg Biffle in the 16. He really needs a bounce-back performance at Homestead today. Black Ace, Jacob Westbrook, and Ethan, welcome to the stream, everybody. Starting things off in a hurry. Rival at the rear of the field with Greg Biffle. That would be Ashton Lewis. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Homestead. Biffle trying to get around Lewis. Lewis takes a shot already into turn 1, lap 1. And Biffle's trying to get away from him. But as quickly as he can. Ran in the back of Mike Skinner going off into turn 3. Huge checkup off of turn 4 now. Ashton Lewis just about got in the back of Biffle. Guys are really slow at the back of the pack, but they are going 3 by 3 through the field. Look at Biffle 3 wide on the bottom himself. Joe Nemechek now tries to take a swing at Biffle in the opening laps. Dangers of starting at the back of the pack for Biffle already showing on lap 2.
There's a 3-second margin between you and the leader. All clear, buddy. The 30 call, come on. 3 wide. 3 wide, hold that line. This is what we live for. Keep moving.
Already halfway through the field. This 16 car looks like a rocket ship early on today at Homestead. In 3 laps, he is cut halfway through the field. We'll see as things start to string out if the passing will be more prevalent like that.
You let him by, he's gonna make things tough on you.
We saw how much clean air was a factor in the Coke 600 last night on a 1.5 miles. Higher bank. This is a higher banked racetrack as well, so we'll see how that will work. For those of you that might have missed the Coke 600 last night, quick recap. It was a wild race all throughout, especially in the second half of the race. Greg Biffle was presumably going to be short on fuel. Was going to try to spin on Jimmy Johnson, who had wiped him out a couple times earlier in the night. As they were battling for second, Johnson took the swing into turn 1. Biffle took the swing into turn 1 on Johnson with just 7 laps to go and crashed himself out of the race. What looked like it could have been a top 10 performance ended up in a 31st place DNF in the late going of the race. Biffle did lead the most laps last night with just over 100 laps led, but it was not the finish that he probably deserved. Has to be smarter today, but at the same time, too, he knows those rivals already in the opening laps have taken swings at him. And he can't back down from them. He's got to step up when the time matters the most. It's nice to know it looks like he's got a fast car today. Dale Jr. just kind of following up through the field here in the middle of the pack. Another 267-mile race on 267 lap race on a 1.5 miles will be tomorrow at Chicagoland. Biffle has done really well in the shorter races this season. I know he's got 2 of them back-to-back. This is an advantage he could possibly take. Boy, does he need to take it. I don't think he can afford a DNF again this season. We'll be halfway through the season after today's race. 18 races will be completed out of 36 once the checkered flag flies today. This rival system is insane, Ace. Let me tell you. Especially in the last handful of races where we've seen Biffle with bad luck. That has been a large part of it, and that included last night. Already up to the 12th position on lap 10. I'm sure he is very proud. And his team bringing him this fast of a race car, but Biffle's still got to do the job himself. Pit stops have to be perfect tonight as well. So far, a nice, easy, early going start. All the way on the apron, Kurt Busch trying to block him down there off of turn 4 as they both... Well, Kurt Busch has cleared Harvick. Biffle's still trying to work on that. There's Tony Stewart starting to fade back. Again, he comes in as the points leader. Led the first 51 laps of the race last night. Those were the only 51 laps he had, but he did rally back for a top 5 finish. Finishing in 5th. How low can you go for Biffle? Getting to stick really well on the apron around this racetrack. Car is showing some pretty good stability right now. We saw that for the most part last night in the Coke 600. That's why he was able to make it as far as he did. Though late in the run, you could definitely tell his tires were wearing out quite considerably. Biffle looking low underneath Ricky Rudd. Rudd with the block off of turn 2. Ooh, almost some contact between Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon. Both racing some unique paint schemes. Biffle got a really good drive on entry to turn 3. Right to his inside. Kenseth will clear Gordon as well. Down the front stretch, Biffle hard on the brakes into turn 1. Kenseth pulled down right in front of him. And Kenseth now on the outside of his teammate.
Number 17 is still there. Oh, yeah. Right pass, buddy. All clear, buddy.
That is very true. Ace, I do agree with you there. Are these cars faster? Whoa, man, Biffle really loose all the way down the front stretch into the braking zone in turn 1. Slides underneath Sterling Marlin. Yes, these cars are a tad bit faster. Specifically on the 1.5 miles. Really, the short tracks and the road courses, it's not any different. In fact, the cars today are probably a little faster on those racetracks specifically, as well as the super speedways. And there you see, battle for second, Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle, all too familiar from the end of the race last night. Also includes with Ryan Newman in the lead. Biffle's got the bottom open there with Jimmy, but Biffle's got some unfinished business from last night. Try and go for right now. Johnson takes a swing in the center of the corner. Johnson's going to lose multiple positions because of that. Biffle hangs on and gets up to second place. Couldn't pay Jimmy Johnson back at all right there, but he'll gladly take the second position away from him. And now has his eyes set on Ryan Newman, another driver he has had run-ins over the last 10 races with. Pit window is probably going to be just over 60 laps in today's race. Roberto Sandoval, welcome to the stream. Indeed, Jimmy Johnson. Threw a nasty shot right in the center of the corner, nevertheless. Most dangerous spot for anything like that to happen. Ryan Newman leads the Rocket Man after starting on the pole. Has led the first 19 laps of the race at the line here. Still early on, but Biffle trying to run him down. And trying to get 5 bonus points himself for leading the lap. That's the one thing he's had going for him, is he's been leading laps despite the bad luck he has had recently. Again, 7 of the last 9 races have ended in DNFs for Biffle, and only 1 top 10 in that 9-race stretch. That came at Pocono with a 10th place finish, so Biffle really trying to bounce back here. It's been a struggle midway through the season. But knowing that we still have half the season remaining after today's race, will be exactly halfway home. Plenty of time for him to catch back up and be a championship frontrunner by the season's end, as long as he can end this bad streak sometime soon, hopefully today. Jeff Gordon, who is in 3rd place right now, isn't really closing in on Greg Biffle, but it does seem like he's closing in along with Biffle on Ryan Newman, the race leader. Johnson, who was in 2nd and then tried to wipe out Biffle there, is falling outside the top 5. He hasn't even gotten back in around both Marlin and Kurt Busch back there in 4th and 5th. Yeah, 1 lap car coming up probably in the next couple laps, and then we'll have a big break before the next set of lap cars. Newman now just a couple car lengths in front of the 16 of Biffle. Again, these two have had their run-ins this season. Biffle knows he will retaliate at some point. Still hasn't done it. For now, he's looking for the lead. Trying to get 5 bonus points for leading a lap here. Not quite. Looks like Ryan Newman will lead the lap at the line still. By about 0.03 of a second. Big side draft going into turn 1. Biffle got loose on the bottom, but he's still going to clear Newman on corner exit. Shows you how hard he was driving it into turns 1 and 2. So Greg Biffle's got the lead. He should lead his first lap of the race at the line. And again, 5 bonus points will be scored for the 16 of Biffle. Good start to the day. He's had a lot of good starts over recent weeks. They just haven't been great finishes. No stage racing back in 2003. That was really what's costing Biffle. He's running so good through the first 2/3 of the race. Things go so wrong at the end. Just like last night, I mean, he literally ran every bit of a perfect 580 miles. Those last 6 laps, 7 laps, in which he DNF'd in, obviously was a bad finishing blow. Kevin Grubb is going to be the first driver to go a lap down. Really off the pace compared to everybody else. Again, we still got quite a ways before the next lap car yet. We're going to alternate to the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. 1.3 second lead at the line. And Ryan Newman is about to lose 2nd place now. Jeff Gordon trying to work his way around him. Jeff Gordon also had a DNF last night. He blew an engine and finished 41st. It was a tough break for Gordon. Had an even worse night than Greg Biffle by the end of the day. Gordon still hasn't completed the pass on Newman. He still scored in third place. I'd have to believe the lap car of Kevin Grubb probably got in the way. Almost halfway through the fuel tank for the first time today. Caution free through the first 30 laps so far. The back of the field is really spaced out. The top half of the field is pretty well congested. You can kind of tell on the track map on the upper right hand corner of the screen that is the case still. It's the final time we're going to be running this test car paint scheme this year, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We tried to change things up using this rather than our traditional paint scheme when the bad luck first started, and the bad luck has only continued, so I will change that back to our primary scheme for the rest of the season. After today, which would, again, mark the halfway point on the year. Call 48, welcome to the stream. Jack Sprague in the 0. Deep Biffle drove it into turn 3, trying to get around Sprague, making sure he wasn't going to pull a block on him at the last second, and he did not. Sprague let him go pretty easily. 3.3 second lead on Newman. Again, Newman led the first 21 laps of the race. And Biffle's led every lap since. Excuse me. Alright, sorry for that. I had to pause it for a quick moment. Coughed a couple times. My mouth got dry, so I had to do that off the mic there for a little bit. I had to pause it to get the mic back up, so. We're good. Kevin LePage is just going a lap down now. Meanwhile, again, still the lap traffic is pretty well spaced out. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream. Again, early going to the race still. All 43 cars still on the racetrack, Still caution free up to this point as well. Skinner almost came down right into Biffle in the center of turns 1 and 2. 5.1 second lead now over Newman. Ricky Rudd is up to third place all of a sudden. I don't know what happened to Jeff Gordon. He was challenging Ryan Newman for second place for a while there, and not anymore. We have a blown engine on the inside of the racetrack, and it's Gordon. Well, there's your answer. Jeff Gordon has blown an engine down for the second race in a row. And this is really hurting his championship hopes himself, having back-to-back blown engines and back-to-back worse than 40th place finishes. This one's going to score him in last today. He's going to be the first driver to exit. That is a tough break. We stay green. He should be able to get to pit road. Gordon was in third place, challenging Newman for second there for a while, and that is a tough break for Gordon. Another terrible instance. Now, last night he was running outside the top 20, but that still would have been a better finish than 41st, where he DNF'd at with a blown engine there. So, Hendrick Motorsports, you got to be wondering with that 24 camp, what's going on? Why are we blowing two engines back-to-back races here? Both on 1.5 miles nonetheless. So we got another 1.5 miles tomorrow at Chicagoland. I'm pretty sure they're going to want to get their engine department situated before then. Over 40 laps complete. Biffle continues to lead. Christian Fittipaldi, Ashton Lewis, the next two lap cars up ahead. Unsettled business with Ashton Lewis as well for Biffle. And he could be looking to turn him here, so here we go, we might see something. Wow. He got really loose underneath Fittipaldi. He did clear, man. Oh, how did that not turn him? He tried to turn the 46 of Ashton Lewis, and Lewis just kept driving it. What a save by Lewis. How did that not turn his car? He kept it off the wall, too, nonetheless. Guess Biffle will just wait to catch him later. And it'll work to try and get right back around Fittipaldi again off of turn 2. About a quarter of a tank left of gas on the 16 of Biffle. Next three races, again, we already mentioned a couple times, Chicagoland will be tomorrow, Talladega will be later next week. for the EA Sports 500. And then Richmond are the next 3 races. Michigan, I believe, is after that. So those are the next 4 races this season. Again, a custom schedule season on NASCAR Thunder 2004. For Season 1, we'll do a second season of NASCAR Thunder 2004. Obviously, still want to get that championship won this year. And again, we will be doing a fan vote. You guys will get to pick the driver. Your favorite driver from 2003. For Season 2. Live traffic starting to get slightly thicker. Gets around Steve Park. Great grip in the race car on corner exit. He just drove to the outside of Ken Schrader and clears him down the backstretch. Kevin Grubb all the way on the outside up there. Already going to go 2 laps down. We haven't even had that many drivers go 1 lap down yet. Brett Bodine's going to go his first lap down off of turn 4 as well. Ricky Rudd up to second. A couple laps ago, dropping Ryan Newman back to third. Again, Newman and Biffle, the only 2 drivers who have led laps so far today. Newman led the first 21 after starting on the pole. Newman had an 11th place finish, led laps late in the Coke 600 last night. Things did not go his way on that late race restart. Biffle desperately trying to get to the inside of Robbie Gordon there and put him a lap down. Gordon went to throw a block and then let him go at the last second. Into turn 3, tires starting to wear out now in the 16 of Biffle. Again, we are getting towards the end of the opening fuel run of the race, already over 50 laps complete. Quick pace to the start of this one. We've seen a lot of races this season start off caution-free for a long period of time. But once we get that first caution, it seems like one caution starts to pile into another, then another, then another. Nemechek in the 25.
Number 25 is trying a lot.
Another driver not too happy with Greg Biffle here. Oh, Biffle drove it in a little too deep there, trying to cross Nemechek over. Kept good control of his car, and now look at Nemechek blocking. Biffle trying to get a run on him. That's not working out very well. Biffle trying to bring out the yellow. And that did not work at all. Now Casey Mears is in the mix all of a sudden. He's trying to block Greg Biffle. Biffle's got a big lead. This would probably start up some pit stops.
Number 41 is still there. The 41 car is looking to pass. The 25
Biffle again to the outside of Joe Nemechek. And now he hooks him. Caution. Payback on Nemechek. Right at the start-finish line. That will bring out the first caution of the day. Slowly getting payback. One driver at a time. Nice and simple there, and nobody else was involved, so that was kind of perfect. Joe Nemechek spun right around. And took him a couple laps to do it, but he got it done, and now we're going to be seeing pit stops for the first time today under caution. So it looks like pretty much everybody's going to come their way onto pit road. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, the payback from the 16 of Biffle is not done yet. He does have a pretty good gap coming to pit road. There are a few lap cars in between him and second place Ryan Newman. Not sure if all the lead lap cars are pitting right now as well, but I would have to assume most of them are. And didn't really mess the car up too bad damage-wise. Greg Biffle will win the race off pit road. And he'll get the restart first. Yep. And right next to Joe Nemechek nonetheless. Green flag back in the air. He's letting Nemechek go. He's not even going to waste any time there. So we get up to speed, and Biffle still holds on to the lead, letting Joe Nemechek get right ahead of him. Sure enough, they lined up right next to one another on the restart. I'm not sure if Nemechek pitted or not. That might have been why that was the case. Biffle to the inside of Jeremy Mayfield. Off of turn 4. Biffle drafted with Nemechek on the inside of the track. Jeff Burton lined up in second right behind Greg Biffle. So Biffle's going to have to try to do this quickly. Trying to quickly get around him through turns 3 and 4, and Biffle has cleared Joe Nemechek. Great move. Great move by Biffle. Quickly gets around him. He should be able to drive away from him now. He's got a much faster race car. Obviously helps. So Biffle holds on to the lead and a lot of open room to run and clean air in front of him now. Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream. Good start for Greg Biffle today. Yeah, so once again, just an update. We were supposed to run Road America Xfinity Series after this one today. We are postponing that till tomorrow. So instead of a doubleheader today, we'll be doing a doubleheader tomorrow on the channel. I'll have way more time tomorrow than what I have had and will have today. So that was supposed to be after this. We'll just postpone that till tomorrow. And we'll do a NASCAR Thunder 2004 / NASCAR Heat 5 doubleheader tomorrow. We'll run Chicagoland first for NASCAR Thunder 2004. Then the Xfinity Series Road America race will be afterwards. Both races tomorrow afternoon. I believe we have a noon Eastern Standard start time for the NASCAR Thunder 2004 race at Chicagoland. I believe that is the Tropicana 400, if I'm not mistaken. And then we're likely looking at about 3 to 3:15 start time for the Road America Xfinity race. Mentioned it at the top of the broadcast, but we didn't have many people watching at that time. But we do now. 10 people currently watching. Thanks for everybody tuning in here. Saturday afternoon. Currently at lap 65. Just followed our first pit stops of the day. Dale Jr. has jumped himself up to second place, 1.6 seconds off the lead. Biffle definitely has probably the fastest car in the field. I think that caution worked wonders for Greg Biffle. Not only he got a caution, everybody came to pit road because we were at the end of the opening fuel run anyway, but he got payback on one of his rivals, and he restarted in the lead by winning the race off pit road, and he's driving away from everybody with the clean air advantage right now. So that is about as perfect as it could have been for Greg Biffle. Lap cars that lined up on the inside, 3 of them got in front of not only Biffle, but that would have meant Jeff Burton, who restarted in second, everybody else that was up there at the front of the field. And Biffle got around him so quickly that they were still in front of second on back, and that really held him up quite a bit. As Jeff Burton now gets right back around Dale Jr. for second place through turns 3 and 4 that last lap. Kevin Harvick's back in the top 5. Davion West, welcome to the stream. 10 people watching currently right now. Hit the like button down below if you're enjoying the race, the commentary, the video in general as well, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams with a realistic broadcast on the daily. And again, doubleheader will be tomorrow instead of today on the channel with that. I start my young broadcasting career to slowly work my way up the ranks and hopefully one day live my dream of becoming a broadcaster for real NASCAR races. Biffle is over 700 points off of first place coming into tonight, by the way. He's 22nd in the standings after a DNF. Though he didn't lose spots in the actual standings itself, he was still 22nd, but he did lose over 100 points with Tony Stewart finishing 5th and Biffle finishing 31st. We knew good fortune was going to have to come at some point in time, and maybe even a long string of good fortune for Greg Biffle, because again, he won 5 races in the first 10 races of the season. 9 races, that is, and hasn't won since, but obviously clicking off all those wins, and that includes 4 in a row from the 4th race of the year to the 7th race of the season. You know, when he's got the good equipment, he can get the job done. .9 second lead. Well, 1.894, but nearly 1.9 second lead there. Nice open room to run, though, right now. And it's going to be that way for probably the next 20 laps or so, I'd have to imagine, before he catches lap traffic. We know Kevin Grubb's way off the pace. He's still out there, and he's already lost quite a bit from the pack of cars ahead of him at the back of the field. Kevin Harvick up to second place now. 2 seconds off the race lead. Showed glimpses of good runs last night. It was mainly in the first half of the race, but here we are, first half of this race. And again, another mile and a half. This is probably one of the easier stretches of the schedule up to this point, if you exclude, at least for Greg Biffle, that is, and as far as tracks that are easier to drive with Charlotte. Obviously, it was the longest race of the year, so we knew it was going to be tough with that aspect, but it's one of the easier tracks to drive on this game with it being higher bank, 1.5 miles. And you've got Homestead here, Chicagoland. Talladega is an easy track to drive. It's just tough to escape with a good finish there because you obviously you have the risk and the thought of the big one happening. Those 4 races, again, these are where we could see Biffle get back onto his winning ways. Then we have Richmond, so you would exclude that race with it being another short track, and it's a flatter track. That could be trouble for Biffle, perhaps. 400-lap race there, but then we go back to Michigan, and that was where Biffle got his first career win earlier this season. And that first win of the year, of course, was in the first Michigan race, so our second one there. That could also help. By the last 9 races of the season, if he is within 300 points of the lead, he's got a chance still. That would be just under 2 races off the lead with 9 races to go. That would mean that also he would have to click off a huge stretch of winning over these next 10 races, but it is not impossible. Biffle's had no pressure on this run at all. A lot simpler than when he worked his way through the field on the opening run. He's only got a 1.9 second lead. Again, it's not a big lead. But no traffic ahead of him. He's hitting his marks perfectly. Kept the car for the most part fairly clean today, outside of trying to wipe out Ashton Lewis and it not working, and then wiping out Joe Nemechek, but really that's been the only major contact today. Of course, Jimmy Johnson already tried to take a shot at Biffle as well. Just over a 2-second lead now. Biffle a little bit faster those last 2 laps on Harvick. Yeah, Tim, I definitely get the joke there. The wins obviously helped him get to the round of 8. He's just got to perform well in the playoffs when the time comes, and it's like that for anybody. I mean, you just got to know that what does happen in the regular season counts, Like, Harvick and Hamlin basically had a free pass for the round of 8 with all the playoff points they scored. So that success definitely translated to the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. They didn't have to worry about any sort of pressure there. You still have to perform when the time matters the most. Ooh. There's a moment there in turns 3 and 4. The only time you saw last night in the Coke 600 where Biffle got extremely loose is when he actually spun out off of turn 4 and hit the outside wall pretty hard, trying to correct it, and he ended up overcorrecting it. And he got T-boned by Jimmy Johnson in the process, and that is the only reason Johnson's upset with him to begin with. Which ended up obviously leading to what happened at the end of the race. .2-second lead.
You're halfway on fuel.
And about halfway through this fuel run now. I believe that's Kevin Grubb in the 26 again, who's about to go another lap down already in the first 100 laps of the race today.
The 22 car is up ahead. Number 22 is coming right. Clear all around.
And another small gap. You can tell Grubb's keeping a little bit better pace this run compared to what he did last run, but it's still way off compared to everybody else. I do have to admit, the only thing I don't like with the stages in NASCAR is the fact that there is a mandatory caution at the end of them. I understand why they do it. It's mainly because they can take a commercial break then instead that. I understand that. Plus, it also frees up for more advertisement. And I get that, and I understand that. But at the same time, too, yeah, I don't like how there's a mandatory caution. I'm all for awarding stage points there during different intervals of the race, but I'm not for having a caution and having that be the main strategy, I guess, by that point in the race. I prefer them definitely to stay green under it. But I don't think they're going to change it. That's alright. That's not a huge problem, for sure. And of course, restarts are entertaining. It does produce more restarts. Here's Ashton Lewis just up ahead. We'll try to take a swing at him earlier. Didn't quite spin him around. Could be looking off of turn 4. Make a run on Lewis and take him out this time. Nope, not going to do it there. Lewis is pulling the block and Biffle made contact with him. Oh no! Stanton Barrett contact with Greg Biffle. Not what Biffle was trying to do at all. Wanted to keep Stanton Barrett out of it. At least it frees up more space, and Barrett didn't have a huge amount of damage after that, but he definitely lost a little bit more momentum. Oh, and Lewis just put Biffle in the wall. Turns 1 and 2. Before Biffle had a chance to get back at him. It's a pretty hard hit into the outside wall as well, right in the center of the corner. Biffle gonna try to send it into turn 3 to the inside of Barrett. Little contact. There definitely wasn't clear there. Nearing lap 100. Biffle will try to take another shot at Ashton Lewis. Likely be next lap when he catches him. He's got a big run here. He might actually get enough of a pull on him off of turn 4. I don't know why the car is just not spinning out like it's supposed to be intended to spin out. This is insane what is going on right now between Biffle and Lewis. Not going the way Biffle's intending right now, nor Ashton Lewis. And finally, he turns it. And Lewis backs it down the banking into the grass. He'll lose another lap in the process. Biffle has finally turned Ashton Lewis, and that is the second of 4 drivers now that Biffle's been able to get payback on today. And at lap 100, we have our second caution of the race. And we'll likely see pit stops under this yellow again. Making Biffle's race a little bit easier. I guess all these guys again had it coming, and Stanton Barrett luckily was able to skate on by as Lewis backed it down the banking of the racetrack. But much like Joe Nemechek's spin, nobody else got involved, so that was making it for a clean dump. Let's see if anybody else is going to come to pit road. Biffle chose to stay out right there, trying to stay on the same pit strategy. It wasn't quite the end of the fuel run, but everybody else came to pit road, so that's pretty interesting. Green flag back in the air. There's Nemechek. Biffle trying to get up to speed here, and Kevin Harvick is already looking for the lead, and now Bill Elliott to the inside. Perhaps 3 wide. And they are 3 wide down the back straightaway. Going off into turn 3. Biffle all the way on the outside. Harvick leads this race. That's his first lap led at the line. Biffle trying to get back to the bottom. He can't do it yet. Look at this. 3x3 on the restart. Kenseth's down on the apron in turns 1 and 2. Got a look out for Joe Nemechek. Biffle crossing over Matt Kenseth. What a run to the bottom. Down to the apron to get back to second place. Passes Jeremy Mayfield, too. That was his best chance to get around Joe Nemechek, and now trying to run down Harvick himself. Even on older tires, this 16 car is really fast. See if Greg Biffle was the only driver that chose to stay out under the caution. Or not, we'll see if anybody else maybe comes to pit road with him. Biffle fakes high, goes low into turn 3, and he's underneath Harvick. On older tires, Biffle clears Harvick for the lead. Lead change at the line. Biffle back out in front again at Homestead. What speed this 16 car's got today. Again, it is clearly a rocket ship. Harvick trying to get back around him. Jeff Burton closing in on the picture. He's in third place. Biffle's going to pit in about 10 to 15 laps. Not sure if that was a good strategy call or not. Oh, Biffle got loose into turn 3 that time. Stays in front of the 4 of Harvick. He's still logging in laps led, so that's good. Drew Riley, welcome to the stream. We're already less than 25 laps away from the halfway point in today's race. Only 2 cautions up to this point. Pretty quick race pace. Outside of the 2 drivers that Biffle was able to retaliate on already in this race, it's been a clean day. Biffle's been out in front most of the day. Logging in some nice clean lap times. Hasn't had to race around a ton of traffic right now. Fortnite Cracked, welcome to the stream. So we were originally planning on running the Road America NASCAR Xfinity Series race on NASCAR Heat 5 today. That is postponed till tomorrow. So instead of a doubleheader today, we were going to run this race and then that race. Instead, we'll run the doubleheader tomorrow afternoon, running that Xfinity race at Road America, and then this next race of this season for NASCAR Thunder 2004, which again, that will take place at Chicagoland. Dale Jarrett has just taken over second place now from Kevin Harvick. We'll see if he can run down Greg Biffle and try to lead his first lap of the race. Biffle just trying to hold on to the lead until he has to hit pit road at this point. Now when he pits, he's not going to want to see a caution until everything cycles through, because he's likely going to go a lap down. Going to have to make sure he doesn't speed when he comes to pit road. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speed limit, just like it is on really every track in this game. So at least he knows the pit road speed limit. It is just going to be a little bit harder and a little difficult to get to pit road. This is pretty narrow off of turn 4, especially with the pit wall there as well. So we'll see how Biffle's going to navigate it and try to make his way down when the time comes. Biffle's straightaway speed's good, but his overall speed's good. He's so good through the corners. He's even though his top end speed might not be there with, say, Dale Jarrett or Kevin Harvick behind him, especially with Biffle having a little bit older tires. That almost doesn't even matter. With him short pitting here, if everything cycles through, he's going to have an even bigger lead when everything cycles through. This could actually work out a lot better than I think Biffle was even intending originally. I still believe it's a 2 pit stop race for everybody anyway. Biffle would just be taking his pit stops a little bit sooner. To make it a 2-stop race, he's just got to make it 2 more laps around, and he can make this 2 more pit stops. And again, I don't think anybody else is going to be able to make it over 70 laps on a run. So there was 1 lap. Biffle's got to not pit this time, but pit the following time by. Make sure he's going to make it. A 3 pit stop race total then for the 16 team. Makes for a pretty solid and easy day. Made it. Still about a half a gallon of fuel left for Greg Biffle. We'll see if he pits this time. If he doesn't pit this time, he'll pit the following time by. It's likely what he's going to do. So Biffle staying out 1 more lap. Lap 120 now. Well, it's about a 1-second lead on Dale Jarrett. A little loose there through turns 3 and 4, and Biffle's out of fuel coming off of turn 4, but he's coming to pit road anyway. Great job. Oh, man, almost sped and almost hit the pit wall head on. That would have been terrible. But a green flag stop nonetheless for the 16, and Biffle short pitting on the rest of the field as he's off strategy currently. So a nice clean stop, repaired a little bit more of damage. Whatever damage was there. He's going to take that access road back onto the racetrack. A little wide there. So Biffle now back up onto the racing surface. In the middle of the lap traffic. The 29th position right now. And we have a blown engine on the inside of the racetrack. Turns 3 and 4. That is Jamie McMurray in the 42 car. So problems for McMurray. Wow, Biffle really overdrove 3 and 4 there. Trying to get around these guys as quick as he can. Now he's got fresher tires. Already know he's got a fast race car. Some drivers he's going to be passing will be for positions. And and some will not. Those two were not. Joe Nemechek is the next driver for position. Nemechek takes a little shot there in the center of the corner. Biffle gets away. Now down the front straightaway, 3 wide into turn 1. Underneath Johnny Benson, Elliott Sadler. Couple passes for position there as well. Casey Mears also for position. He drove it in deep into turn 3. He'll have him cleared. Center of the corner. Robbie Gordon, wherever he's at on the racetrack, would be the first car 1 lap down. It's as high as Biffle can move up through the running order until green flag pit stops continue to cycle through. Robbie Gordon's the next car in front of Greg Biffle, by the way, as well. So there is Gordon. So this is for 23rd. Inside of the racetrack. Not a lot of room there. 3 wide. Oh, Robbie Gordon and Kyle Petty about got together going into turn 3. Gordon completes the pass on Petty. It's a merge off of turn 4. Biffle clears both of them. Last driver on the lead lap, by the way, is Michael Waltrip. Coming through the traffic like Biffle is right now, he's likely going to catch guys like Ryan Newman. Actually, Ryan Newman not too much further up ahead. There is Newman on the outside of Dale Jr. Biffle looks to the inside of Jr. Going to have to follow Dale. Got around Newman, not worried about retaliating yet. Again, Biffle needs this to stay green until everybody else cycles through pit stops. And the same's going to go for Jimmy Johnson when he catches him. The only other 2 drivers that Biffle would need to get payback on at any point in time. Sterling Marlin, another one of those drivers who have fallen off over the course of the race. He was in the top 4 early on in 4th position. for the first run of the race up until that first yellow, and they might have made wrong adjustments on the race car, perhaps, or maybe just other drivers that made better adjustments. Worked themselves around Sterling Marlin, just all kinds of sorts of things that happen throughout the course of a race. Biffle hustling down to the apron down the back stretches. Ricky Craven was not giving him any room. Giving him a little bit more room by the time they got into turn 3. There's Jimmy Johnson not too far up ahead. Biffle to the inside of Bill Elliott off of turn 4. He's got Ward Burton up here as well. Car's not badly damaged at all for Biffle, so he's going to try to just get around these guys as quick as he can. Ward Burton with a shot there right in the center of the corner. Now to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson runs him down the track as well. And Biffle will clear Jimmy Johnson also. Wow, that car just turned into turn 3 before Biffle even wanted it to turn. Looks like the car's gotten looser over this third run of the race compared to the first 2.
Number 99 is outside. All clear, buddy.
And Greg Biffle's not far behind the race leader in case we were to get a caution before the next set of pit stops. He's about to unlap himself, likely within the next few laps. Been a quiet day around the racetrack. Even Charlotte last night, we saw drivers getting into the wall themselves, specifically going into turn 1. Everybody's been pretty stable so far today. Dale Jarrett logging in laps led. Jarrett comes into the race 4th in the point standings, just over 1 race off of Tony Stewart, who was leading the points. Biffle on these fresh tires, just driving right around these guys. To the inside of Jarrett off of turn 2 now to unlap himself. So Biffle back on the lead lap now, and again, still everybody else going to have to pit before him. Still about 20 seconds behind Johnny Benson, who is now in 22nd. So that last caution came out right at lap 100. By the time we went green, it was lap 106. So these guys can probably still go another 20 to 25 laps before they have to hit pit road. And Biffle would be able to go about another 15 to 20 laps after that. Grub once again up here. Great run.
Number 22 is looking right. You're clear.
We're going to alternate through different camera angles one final time now in the race today. At the start-finish line here. We'll do this for about the next dozen laps. Ashton Lewis and the 46 machine. Biffle's already gotten his payback on him today. He's going to want to get by Lewis as quickly as he can. Lewis trying to block him. Oh, Lewis drove him into the apron there off of turn 4. A little bit of a scary situation, but Biffle gets on by him. Biffle with a little bump and run maneuver to quickly get around Ashton Lewis, and Lewis just fired back on him off of turn 4, and I think Biffle thought he had him cleared. A little bit of a jump scare there. Biffle drives on by, and we stay green. Again, just 2 cautions up to this point today. We're over halfway through the race. Before we know it, we'll be at about 100 laps to go. Well, Biffle with a run to the outside of Jack Sprague. Definitely wouldn't have done that on arrival, I'll tell you that much. He's had instances already this season where he's gotten put into the wall, trying to pass a rival to the outside. Oh, look at this move up the middle between Kevin LePage and Mike Skinner. What a move by Biffle. Great acceleration off of turn 2 to make that move happen. Obviously, he's on fresher tires, and those are slower lap cars, but still making it look easy. That definitely would not have been the corner for him to get loose on entry like we've seen every now and then today. Now at lap 150. The inside of Hermie Sadler off of turn 2. It's the only trip to Homestead-Miami Speedway this season. Of course, this is the site of the season finale in real life back in 2003. But again, with this being a custom schedule season, decided the halfway point was a good point to have our first and only trip to Homestead. This would have been the first season with this configuration. It is still the current configuration we see here. They kept the same length, the same width of the racetrack before, but it was much flatter the year prior in 2002. And just before that point, 2003 on, we saw this higher bank track with the progressive banking that you have seen most recently as well at Homestead. looking to make a move on the outside of Ken Schrader. This is actually the second time he's tried to pass him. On the outside as well.
Still beside you. All clear back.
Again, just great drivability in this race car. Contact with Vittipoli, 3 wide to the top. Again, very stable, able to hold his line. Make the pass. He's still going to stay to the outside. I think Kenny Wallace is underneath him still. Biffle giving Wallace room. And clears him off at turn 2. Good slide again there from Biffle. Stick with this normal far chase camera for the rest of the race now. We have about 112 laps to go at Homestead. Biffle trying to go to victory lane for the first time in 10 races. Last win was on the Brickyard 400 earlier this season at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Biffle setting himself up nice right now. I know he's currently in 23rd. We'll be seeing some pit stops coming up. Likely anywhere between the next 5 to 10 laps, I'd have to imagine. For the rest of the leaders, that will cycle Greg Biffle back to the lead. Biffle pitted much before everybody else. Slides to the inside of Steve Park. Got great acceleration, center of the corner, able to keep the car on the inside. Oh, Elliott Sadler with a block. A little contact with Biffle himself there. Not sure what that was all about, as he's battling Jeremy Mayfield for position. They were already 1 lap down. Well, I guess Biffle's not the leader yet. Once Biffle becomes a leader, they'll be 2 laps down. Three wide, just up ahead. Joe Nemechek's in the mix here. In this 3 wide battle. Biffle trying to close in on these guys quickly. He's going to hope that Nemechek isn't on the bottom. That would be the best opportunity for Biffle to make a pass. 3 wide himself off of turn 4. Went to the apron. Great grip to get around both Casey Mears and Joe Nemechek. Best way to get around a rival was right there. So leaders are pitting currently at Homestead. Some more green flag pit stops going on right now. Large portion of them just came to pit road. Most of them are lap cars, though. So that'll move Biffle up to 18th this lap. And even more drivers coming to pit road again. You can see they're using the access road coming to pit road. Biffle did not use the access road when he came to pit road. He did use it on exit, trying not to have a blend line violation. But he had open room to run when he came to pit road, so it worked out for him. He didn't have to take the access road. We'll have to see next green flag pit stop if we get another green flag stop in this race. And using the access road also coming out of the pits. So things are cycling through currently. Biffle up to 10th. Race leader still out on the racetrack. Even more cars on pit road right now. Probably the most we've seen during the cycling of stops that are currently on pit road.
The 2 car down left. Clear.
Here's Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Biffle trying to get around him going into turn 3, and he will. And Johnson's got fresh tires, so Biffle better be careful here. It's the worst driver that could have possibly come out of the pits right behind him. Biffle's got a fast car on older tires still. Johnson's just now getting up to speed. We'll see how this is going to work out. Biffle have him a lap down as well right now. There's Ward Burton as well, another one of his rivals. Biffle's going to get around Burton going into turn number 3. Oh, trying to get around Michael Waltrip. Run kind of faded. Biffle to the outside of Waltrip. He's doing whatever he can right now to let Jimmy Johnson get underneath him, as well as Ward Burton for that matter. Waltrip on older tires hasn't pit yet, so that's why Biffle was able to get around him on the outside. It's around his teammate Mark Martin in the corner as well, so Biffle just trying to stay in front of Jimmy Johnson right now. It'll be a lead change at the start-finish line here, as the leaders are just now coming to pit road, giving up the race lead to Greg Biffle once again. So Biffle out in front for the third different time today at Homestead. Still led the most laps up to this point. Mark Martin still scored in second place, by the way. I don't believe Mark Martin has hit pit road. I think the second place driver would be Matt Kenseth when everything cycles through. Kenseth currently shown in third, 23 seconds off the race lead. Sideways action there in turns 1 and 2. 100 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by. So now before Biffle pits once again, he's able to log even more laps led. Still some lap cars that have to come to pit road, as well as Mark Martin, who's in second. He'll be a lap down by the time he comes out of the pits, especially after staying out this long. Held to about 5.5 seconds off the lead before coming onto pit road. So less than 100 laps to go now here at Homestead. Greg Biffle leads in this race. Staying out of the pits might not have worked out for Greg Biffle now that we have gotten closer to the end, as we're less than 100 laps left. Jack Sprague blocking Greg Biffle. Sprague already a couple laps down. Trying not to go a third lap down. Biffle probably has to pit 2 more times, not 1 more. I think I did my math wrong before the last pit stop. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it to 60 laps to go. Yeah, he's definitely not going to make it that far. So finally get around Jack Sprague off of turn 2 to put him a third lap down currently, but Biffle has to pit an extra time. How is that going to work out for him? The strategy still could be the call to win the race. I haven't seen a lot of tire fall off today, but Biffle's just been that fast. Again, riding a rocket ship tonight. Sadler trying to pull a block now. And I think this is just starting to go into, once again, we're under 100 laps to go in a race, and we've seen this so many times already. No matter who it is, drivers just seem to completely block whoever and whenever they can late in a race. You're seen a product of that again today. It's just this game in general.
Can't leave laps with no fuel. Pit now.
Kenseth has not cut into that lead at all, despite being on fresher tires than Biffle. And again, that's just the race car Biffle's had. He's still 23 to 23.5 seconds ahead of his Roush Fenway teammate currently. Kurt Busch is in the top 5 as well. Another Roush Fenway driver running well. Roush has had some good equipment lately. They just haven't gotten a win lately. Kurt Busch was up in front at one point in time yesterday. And Kenseth led some laps yesterday as well. Seen the cars Biffle's had at the track. Not quite as fast as he's had today, but he's just had bad luck, obviously, to go along with it. And outside of Greg Biffle, the only other driver for Roush Fenway to win this season is Mark Martin, and that was the second race of the year at Atlanta. So even Martin hasn't won since. Ryan Berwick, welcome to the stream. So Biffle running pretty low on fuel now. 90 laps to go at Homestead. Gonna have to hit pit road and surrender the race lead once again. That's what it's gonna look like.
Might be time for a new lap for your tire.
Been a lot of open traffic though since everything is cycled through over the last dozen laps or so. Looks like the second to last stop will be coming up for Greg Biffle. Everybody else can make it on one more. So now we're seeing it's a 3-stop strategy versus a 2-stop strategy for the last caution. So in reality, it'll be a 4-stop strategy total for Greg Biffle versus 3 for everybody else. And this is only going to be successful if it is a successful attempt just because of how fast Biffle's car is today. Jeff Burton in the 99. About to go a lap down here soon.
Got one eye.
Bit of a block there by Jeff Burton.
Number 99.
Biffle already under him, and Biffle out of gas now. Thought he might have been able to go a little bit longer. Luckily, he's in turns 3 and 4. So coasted onto pit road. That'll cost him a couple seconds at least. Similar to about where he ran out of fuel last time for coasting it onto pit road. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel coming up for the 16 team. Looking at about an 18-second pit stop. That is his 3rd pit stop total of the day. And this will surrender the lead to his teammate Matt Kenseth. So Kenseth will have the lead. Everything cycles through. So here we go.
Clear all rounds.
Biffle still on the lead lap. That's good. He's on the access road trying to get back up to speed as he works his way back onto the racing surface now. And now Biffle's got fresher tires than everybody else on the racetrack. That is going to help him try to run down the race leaders once again. Everybody now has one more pit stop to go the rest of the way.
On your line. Still there.
15 seconds off the lead, just over 16 seconds off the lead. Loose getting off into turn 3. Underneath Mike Skinner, Kevin LePage is blocking for his life right now on Greg Biffle. Biffle finally gets under him.
Okay, we're clear.
And Biffle gets around LePage.
Smart laps. Clear.
Biffle's definitely faster than the leaders right now. If he could even catch up before the pit window opens again in about 20 laps to make it to the end of the race, then he's smooth sailing with that extra stop easily. He can make it to the end and everything would be good to go. We'll see if anybody's going to pit when that window opens to the end of the race. We've seen that at other racetracks and other races this season. That could very well be a possibility. Biffle is gaining every lap on the race leader right now. It's just going to be how he gets through traffic of whether or not he'll be able to actually catch those guys during this run or not.
Number 2 is outside. The 02 car is passing high. They're on both sides.
Biffle to the inside of Rusty Wallace. Wallace didn't give him a lot of room, but just enough for Biffle to slide under there and now clear him off of turn number 4
Okay, we're clear.
and down towards the start-finish line on the front straightaway. So that was a pass for position. Up to 18th now for the Biff. Track that he has won at in his NASCAR Cup Series career. In the mid-2000s, had a photo finish here with his teammate Mark Martin. One of the top 10 closest finishes in NASCAR Cup Series history.
That's another rearview mirror.
And it looks like Ricky Craven is out of the race now, so Craven has blown an engine. That will give Greg Biffle another spot. Craven, I believe, is on pit road already, though. Now Sterling Marlin trying to pull a block on Biffle. Biffle's underneath him. Marlin gives him a little bit of room now into turn 3.
40 car is still
They're
there.
blocking him near the apron down the back straightaway.
In the pass.
And that was a pass for position as well for 16th. As Marlin continues to go backwards over the course of this race. Not sure exactly who the race leader is right now, but I'd have to imagine it is Matt Kenseth.
Smart laps. Number 1 is still there.
Oh, Jeff Green runs into the side of Biffle. Really crowded him in turns 1 and 2.
All clear, mate.
Biffle still carries the run to clear Ricky Road on corner exit despite the contact going in with Jeff Green in the 1. Biffle up to 14th. There's Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Making high, going low to get around Bill Elliott for 13th on the racetrack, and there is Johnson. And try to get around Jimmy as quick as he can as Johnson runs all the way up high. Going to get under him off of turn 4. Johnson takes a shot at Biffle. Biffle still trying to get around him, but he hasn't completely cleared Jimmy yet. Going off into turn 1, now he pulls up the track and clears him. For 12th. Biffle not worried about getting back at Johnson right now. He's worried about trying to close the gap on the lead as we're in the later going of the race. We know Biffle tried to do that last night. That did not work out for him in the last 7 laps of the Coke 600. So, learning from his mistakes from last night and bouncing back, looking for a better race finish. Now he's got to get around Ward Burton. Less than 11 seconds off the lead now. Biffle is cutting into it. Underneath Burton. Burton takes a shot! That was a dangerous situation there. That almost turned Biffle into the outside wall. Biffle up to 11th nevertheless. Still, the right side of that race car is not severely damaged either. Fittipaldi not for position. He's already a couple laps down. There's a very good chance Greg Biffle pits as soon as that pit window becomes open as well, just because he knows by the end of the race plenty good on fuel. He would have retaliated on Johnson if they were within the pit window, but he wasn't going to mess up the strategy any more than it's already perhaps messed up, or at least that he's off strategy as it is. I'm sure there will be other opportunities in the near future for him to get back on Johnson. Terry Labonte for position. What a run he's having. Top 10 after starting back in 40th today. Qualified at the back like he has most of the season. He's chopped outside the top 10 now. Biffle will get around him for 10th off of turn 2. Looking low underneath Kenny Wallace. Easily going to get there. Clearing Wallace now into turn 1. Bobby Labonte, next driver for position in 9th. Biffle is pretty much securing himself a top 10 finish at this point. Every position he passes, I feel like it's just that much closer, not only to a win, or I shouldn't say to the lead, but to the win come the end of the day. Again, everybody has to pit one more time. Biffle now 8.7 off the lead. Shows how good that picker has been, especially during the last 2 pit stops with them both being under green for Biffle. He's gone mistake-free to this point, and they will still have to do that one more time. Lap 200 in this race. 68 laps to go now at Homestead. Jeff Burton giving all the room in the world to his teammate Biffle. He's not going to race him hard. He knows he's faster. He knows he's on fresher tires right now. And that will be a pass for 8th between the Roush Fenway teammates. Biffle is closing in on Ryan Newman, and we are just a couple laps away from the pit window opening up. Caution would obviously help that. I guess you could see retaliation there as well, and he'd only have to get back at Johnson after the end of this race. And the races to come. Ryan Newman's currently in 6th, by the way. Still a couple seconds ahead of where Biffle's at currently. So by the time he catches him, yeah, it probably will be. Right at the pit window. Moves into the corner. Finally going to clear Kevin Grubb on the outside in the center of that last turn. And now to the outside of Steve Park. Going off into turn 3. Kevin Harvick, 4 position. Biffle trying to get a run on the top. Harvick maybe look to squeeze him a little bit. Biffle's got the run now down the front straightaway, going off into turn 1. Harvick's hanging in there on the bottom. Biffle going to get a pull, though, down the back straightaway off of Elliott Sadler in the draft there. Robbie Gordon coming to pit road that time. And there's Ryan Newman. Newman blocking Greg Biffle. Trying to hold him off for 6th. Biffle trying to get a run on the outside. Couldn't get around him there either. Biffle going to try to get around Lewis. To the inside, underneath Newman. Lewis no longer in the way. Biffle's just going to get around Newman cleanly this time. Nemechek in the 25. On the outside, Biffle on the inside. Oh, he's trying to get around the lap car right in front of him. Nemechek with a shot into turn 1. That about washed Biffle all the way back up the racetrack again. That cost him plenty of time. Nemechek with another shot off of turn 2. Biffle will get around him finally. And now the right side of Biffle's race car is pretty severely damaged. Biffle was just kind of stuck on Nemechek after Nemechek took the first shot on him. 59 laps to go now at Homestead. Cost Biffle a little bit of time as well on the race leader. Got a little loose. Well started though, he couldn't get around, or at least to the inside of Jeremy Mayfield to get out of Nemechek's way. Mayfield blocked him off. Biffle gets around him off at turn 4 that time. And now we have caution. For debris, the 3rd caution of the race. It's off Biffle's car after the contact he made, I should say Nemechek made with him. Going to trap a couple of these guys a lap down that already pitted. Most of them were at least lap cars, and you're likely going to see everybody come to pit road here. Biffle trying to race to get around Dale Jarrett for position off of turn 4 for 5th as they race back to the caution flag. He's got the spot on Jarrett by inches. And that is our 3rd caution of the race today. So the right front is blown off of the 16 of Biffle's car. At least they'll be able to pit, repair the damage, and we'll see how fast of a stop this team's going to have. Everybody can make it on field to the end from here. This will be the final pit stop of the race today. So 4th and final stop for everybody now. Get rid of the strategy. It all comes down to the money stop. Full speed should be back as well as he comes out of the pits here. They need a nice clean stop. Lap cars will be lined up to the inside of the lead lap cars. And a race off pit road, going to be won by Matt Kenseth, followed by Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle will come out in 4th. So Biffle was able to get one more spot there. Looks like some drivers stayed out already. There might have been some lead lap cars that were on pit road. Maybe they just decided to stretch it out. Maybe they'll get a couple more cautions. That's possible. Green flag back in the air. And this is going to make for an interesting restart. So Biffle will actually line up in 8th. Top 4 drivers on the racetrack stayed out of the pits. Will this be the final restart of the race? Right around 50 laps to go, just over 50 to go. Hustles around Nemechek. Look at all of these lead lap and lap cars to the outside as a 3x3. Their turns 3 and 4 as they get back up to speed. They are 4 wide down the front stretch. Going into turn 1, Stewart up the middle. Biffle on the bottom. Those are both for positions. And then Stewart got held up behind Fittipaldi now, and that will move Greg Biffle up to 5th off of turn 2. They were 4 wide, and they made it into turns 1 and 2 there. No contact with anybody either.
Number 23, they're all around. The 40 car is still there.
3 wide through 1 and 2 again.
Number 41 is looking high. Clear.
Biffle up to 4th. Really loose going into turn 3. Tony Stewart's trying to go up the middle back there. Kurt Busch on the bottom, 3 wide underneath him for position. I know Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart just pitted. They're good to go to the end no matter what. Robbie Gordon blocking Greg Biffle off. A little contact.
The 31 car is still there.
Now Bill Elliott trying to hold on to 3rd.
31 is still there. Maintain. You're clear.
Biffle to his inside off of turn 4 now. Rusty Wallace right in front of both Elliott and Biffle. And I guess from the All-Star race, it was Rusty Wallace who took out Greg Biffle. I completely forgot about the fact that he had some payback as well that could have very well have taken place. So Biffle, if he gets to the outside of Rusty Wallace, might see our 4th caution of the race. Oh, Biffle got really loose going into turn 1. Elliott couldn't capitalize as Jeff Burton leads with 50 to go at Homestead. Wallace trying to block Biffle. Biffle to his inside. Biffle trying to block Elliott. And again, nope. Looked like Wallace was going to try to throw the block that time. He didn't. Biffle will pass him cleanly for 2nd. Bill Elliott will try to follow Greg Biffle to get by Rusty Wallace now for 3rd. Tony Stewart closing into the picture. Jeff Burton still leading.
Number 9 is down
Elliott almost got to the inside of Biffle. Biffle pulls the block in the center of 1 and 2 now. Trying to close in on his Roush Fenway Racing teammate Jeff Burton for the lead. You know Biffle's going to want to get there before Tony Stewart can get to him. Stewart having equal tires as Biffle. Burton blocking for his life. Biffle with a great undercut. Faked high, went low. He's used that move all day. And Biffle will clear Jeff Burton off of turn 4 for the lead. Lead change at the start-finish line. Biffle back out in front. And with leading that lap, he has now locked up 10 bonus points for today. Now for leading the most laps. So max points day, and Biffle trying to go to victory lane as well. Really loose into turn 3. Might give the lead right back up again. Jeff Burton could not follow him, though. Burton, meanwhile, is just trying to hold off Tony Stewart as well as trying to get back around Greg Biffle, but Burton on a little bit older tires, it's going to be harder for him. Into turn 1. Biffle throws the block. So we saw Burton blocking for his life. Biffle's trying to do the same. This isn't even for the lead anymore. This is for the win if we don't get another caution. Tony Stewart up to second. He'll get by Jeff Burton. Dale Jr. up to 4th. He's closing in on the picture as well, trying to get to the lead. So Stewart, we'll see what he's got to maybe make a move on Greg Biffle now. Dale Jr. is going to get by Jeff Burton in turns 1 and 2 now for 3rd. Biffle holding the inside. I don't think Tony's going to get enough of a run to pass him high. Biffle's just got to make sure Tony doesn't beat him to the bottom on corner entry. Stewart is going to look high there, and that's not going to work out for him. Of course, Biffle hoping we don't get a caution as well. Takes him a lap or two to get going on the restart. He just doesn't seem to have the right gearing to help him on the restarts. Dale Jr. will jump up to 2nd place, passing Tony Stewart through turns 1 and 2 there. So Jr. trying to attack. He hasn't led a lap all day. I'm not sure if Tony Stewart's led a lap or not. Biffle doesn't want him to get to the lead just to make sure. Both Jr. and Stewart are in the top 5 in the point standings, and for Stewart, he is actually the points leader. And although it looks like he's going to have a good finish today, any points Biffle could gain on him, the better. So if Stewart hasn't led a lap to get any bonus points, and Biffle's got 10 bonus points on top of finishing just 2 positions ahead of him, every little gain is a success as we approach the second half of the season. .40 laps to go at Homestead. Junior, about a car length and a half to 2 car lengths off the lead. is challenging for third on Tony Stewart right now as well. That would be Kurt Busch in the 97. So Kurt Busch trying to make a pass on Stewart for third place. So Biffle wants to see not only a teammate getting up there, but as well Tony Stewart dropping back at least one more spot. These guys will hit lap traffic before the end of the race, but again, as far as fuel goes, these guys are good to go to the end. Sure, not just me, but I'm sure all of us can agree on one thing, and that is we knew we had to get this car to victory lane soon, and the fact that it's going to perhaps happen today, what a sigh of relief. That is. And I'm sure we can all agree we were all waiting for this moment to happen as well. Kurt Busch closing in on Dale Jr. now for second. Even Tony Stewart's close back in on Jr. once again. Kurt Busch to the inside of Jr. off the turn 4 for second place. They're only about 1 second off the lead. Jr. stays high through 1 and 2. We'll see if Tony Stewart's going to be able to follow Kurt Busch to get by Dale Jr. himself for third. Could very well happen. Tony is inside of Jr. off of turn 2, and Kurt Busch has already completed the pass. So now Kurt Busch trying to run down his Roush Fenway teammate. Maybe Roush can get a 1-2 finish here as well. Speed-wise, it seems like this car is about as fast as what Biffle's New Hampshire car was. Biffle got wiped out by Ryan Newman that day while leading the second half of that race after he had already clinched the most laps led to that point as well. And no rivals anywhere around Biffle right now, too, and that's why he feels so comfortable. No lap traffic to deal with, at least in the near future as well. Not going to have heavy lap traffic until probably 20-25 laps to go. As long as he can evade the rivals at the back of the pack, he'll be good to go. Dale Jr. is really fading back. I wonder how he got the second as quickly as he did. No way he could have used that much of his tires that early in the run as well. That's well over half tank of fuel. We'll have 30 laps to go this time by, which he was halfway on gas, and it would be concerning at that point, but he's not. So we know, again, he is at least a few laps to the good. Doesn't have to worry about saving. Nice thing is, too, back in the year 2003, all races ended under regulation. So we wouldn't have to worry about going past the scheduled distance with a green-white checker or any sort of overtime. finish. So whatever fuel is in the car now is good to go to the end. A wiggle going off into turn 3 that time. Now 29 laps to go. And a 1.5 second lead. Again, we started running this test car paint scheme simply to try and break the bad luck when we were in the mid-stretch of the bad luck about 4 or 5 races into it. We did not think it was going to continue this far down the road. But in the last race with this paint scheme, we will end the bad luck eventually with a win. Even if it wasn't immediately like we thought could have happened. Kind of our version, I guess, of a rally paint scheme with the way things have been going. But for Greg Biffle, this has worked out perfectly. Kevin LePage in the 57, who's way off the pace this time. Has been Kevin Grubb all day, so that's a little interesting. Page could have been one of those drivers that stayed out of the pits as well. And I guess for those guys that stayed out of the pits, we still don't know if they can make it to the end. So halfway on field, 25 laps to go this time by. Next car isn't even Kevin Grubb either. It's Jack Sprague in the 0.
Save your tires.
Slide into turn 1. Biffle's going to get around Jack Sprague on corner exit off in turn 2, and more space now to run for the next handful of laps. We don't know what kind of a strategy call it could be like as well. At the end of this race, if we saw a caution, would everybody pit behind? We know Biffle's committed to staying out. He's had good speed even on older tires today, but if everybody pitted, what would that mean for Greg Biffle and his chances to win? So although it looks good, and I mentioned how good this seems, and it seems like we should be able to go on to win this thing, how many times have we seen that over these last 10 races, which have been terrible luck for Biffle? Quite a bit. He's got a 4.2 second lead now over Kurt Busch. We'll have 20 laps to go this time by in the Ford 400. Biffle 0.2 of a second faster the last 2 laps over Kurt Busch. We're at lap 250. These are the longest laps of the race if you have a lead like Greg Biffle has now. And just hoping that everybody runs clean laps to the finish. He's got a rival coming up with Ashton Lewis too. Hopefully going to have to brace for impact. And Lewis trying to cross over somebody he's currently trying to get around for position. Lewis is there. Biffle trying to get all the way to the outside here, trying to put a car in between those guys. Rusty Wallace now is blowing an engine. That was close to being contact right there. Biffle get it clear. Going off into turn 3 on Lewis. Lewis trying to get to the back bumper of Greg Biffle. Perhaps to turn him, not going to happen. That was a great move by Biffle to go all the way to the outside, 3 wide on Kevin Grubb. And Ashton Lewis there, not give Lewis a chance to take a swing at Greg Biffle. Nice clean passes.
I'm sure he's still angry with you.
Tony Stewart up to second. Got around Kurt Busch. Matt Kenseth still in fourth. Jimmy Johnson up to fifth. Johnson looking for back-to-back top 10s today.
Slide side.
Now just over a 7.5 second lead for Biffle.
Take care of those Goodyear Eagles.
Slide going off into turn 1.
The 43 car is up high. They're all around.
Jimmy Sadler trying to block off Biffle. Biffle gets around Fittipaldi there. Now he's on the outside of Sadler.
Still there.
Down the front straightaway. Should clear him going off into turn 3.
All clear base.
Well, not quite. Giving Sadler a little bit of room. Now he shuts the door in the center of the corner. 2 more lap cars right in front of him. Then he's got a little gap again before the next set of lap traffic. The only other rival he could possibly catch in this race would be Joe Nemechek if he catches him the rest of the race. If not, nothing but allies and neutral drivers for Biffle to pass. 8.4 second lead at the line now. 12 laps to go at Homestead. Steve Park all the way on the outside, giving Biffle plenty of room to race around him on the bottom. 10 laps to go here at Homestead. And there is Joe Nemechek. One of the next 3 or 4 cars Greg Biffle's going to have to pass. And that will be the last rival he is going to catch today. He tries to work to the inside of Robbie Gordon. Gordon blocking him off. Biffle to the inside of him. That's his chance. Oh, contact. Robbie Gordon kind of drifted up towards Terry Labonte as well. Into turn 3, Biffle drives it in deep to get by Labonte and Joe Nemechek. 3 wide to make sure Nemechek couldn't take a swing on him. And Biffle has cleared him. Now looking to the outside of Johnny Benson. Slide in the center of the corner. That's just the tires getting a little bit older. Over the course of the run. Still great drivability in Biffle's car. 7 laps to go now. Biffle hoping it stays green to the finish. And they can race back to the caution flag to end the race. If a caution came out with 4 laps or less to go. Obviously not knowing where the accident would be at on the racetrack would be concerning. 10.9 second lead. So Tony Stewart, of all drivers that could have finished second. Biffle would not have liked the points leader to finish in second place. You'd have to assume Stewart's going to have his bad luck at some point in time this season. Everybody has to go through it. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. Five laps to go at Homestead. Again, fuel, plenty good to these remain. Hitting around Kyle Petty. 4 to go this time by. So yeah, if we get a caution now, the race is going to be over. As soon as they race back to the caution flag. So that was the next sign of relief. We're not going to have another restart today. Biffle's been pretty good in the 400-mile races this season. Add another one to that list. He's won Las Vegas, the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis, and Michigan. Those were all 400-mile races. 3 of his 5 victories so far this season. And now add this one, a 4th in a 6-race win season up to this point. So Biffle going for that 6th win of the year. This, again, marks the halfway point in the season. As soon as this race is over, 18 races will be completed, and another 18 will remain. Contact with Kevin LePage there off of turn 4.
Still beside you. 2 to go. Let's finish strong. Okay, we're clear.
So 2 laps left. Here's Ward Burton in the 22. Another rival of Greg Biffle's, but Biffle's just going to let him go. He's not even going to worry about trying to pass him.
Number 22 is going to make it hard for you to get around him.
So Biffle just going to hang out behind Ward Burton. He's not going to worry about trying to make a pass on him. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go here at Homestead. 14.5 second lead. They get to the inside of Sterling Marlin off turn 2. Loose there on top of it. They haven't seen him get loose on corner exit up until right there today.
22 car is putting a block on you.
Loose into turn 3, hanging on to the race car on old tires. But here we go. Checkered flag in the air. 10 race winless streak is over. And the bad luck is over. Biffle is back in victory lane again this season. Unbelievable. A huge sigh of relief for the team. The Roush Fenway team. With this 16 car, that is great business to know that they are not out of it yet. Second half of the season. Other teams better be ready because Biffle ran a near perfect race today. We had 3 cautions total.
Greg Biffle ran in clean air pretty much.
Biffle led the most laps, and he gets the W. Katie, welcome to the stream there late. One and only trip to Homestead-Miami Speedway this year has been won by the 16-team Roush Fenway Racing of Greg Biffle. Fastest lap was a 31 flat. Take a look at the race statistics for today. Again, we already mentioned 3 cautions for 9 caution laps. 13 lead changes today. Greg Biffle led the most, 159 laps led, 10 bonus points for him, and we were right. Tony Stewart did not lead a lap, so he outscores Tony Stewart by 15 points today. Not much on the points leader, so Tony Stewart will still have the points lead. Exiting today, Kurt Busch fell off at the end of the race. He was in second there for a little bit. He fell back to 5th. Jimmy Johnson finished in 3rd. Bobby Labonte 4th. Great run. Quiet day, but a good one. Top 5 for him. As we mentioned, Kurt Busch 5th. Kenseth fell off at the end of the race too, finishing 6th. Ryan Newman 7th. In 8th place, we had Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick in 9th, and Mark Martin rounds out the top 10 here today. We'll take a look at who all DNF'd in this race. We know one of them very early in the race was Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon DNF'd with an engine failure. Brett Bodine failed to finish. Jerry Nadeau failed to finish. Jamie McMurray also failed to finish, as well as Ricky Craven and Kenny Wallace all DNF'd out of this race here today. So that was 6 drivers who did not make it to the end. Upcoming races on the Cup Series schedule. The next 3 races here for this custom schedule season on NASCAR Thunder 2004 will be Chicagoland at night. Then we will be going from there to Talladega and then Richmond for the next 3 races. Take a look at the point standings here. See how many spots Greg Biffle moved up. He came into this race 22nd in points. I'd have to assume with a max points day, he's climbed back into the top 20 at least. Stewart still with the points lead, 99 points over Dale Earnhardt Jr. Top 3 still within 1 race of the lead. Don't count Ryan Newman out either, despite the fact that Newman is winless this season. Dale Jarrett falls back a little bit more after a not-so-good run. Did not get a top 10 today, but he's still 4th in points. 5th would be Kevin Harvick now. Ricky Rudd 6th, followed by Matt Kenseth in 7th. Jimmy Johnson 8th. Michael Waltrip still in 9th. Jeff Green still in the top 10. So 3 DEI cars on the top 10 of the point standings right now. Greg Biffle moves from 22nd in points up to 19th, so he moves up 3 spots today. Still 724 points back. Needs to keep the pace going, but again, a huge sigh of relief. A day that he had to have a good day. Tony Stewart finishing 2nd. We know he probably can't DNF the rest of the year, and he had a good finish with a max points day on top of it. So, again, don't count Biffle out of it just yet. Still half the season remains. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thanks for everybody tuning in here tonight. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. such as these full race live streams with a realistic broadcast. We do these on the daily as I start my young broadcasting career, so help me out on that journey so I can hopefully one day live the dream of broadcasting real races within the NASCAR realm. Hit the like button down below if you enjoyed the race, the commentary, the video in general. That also helps me out for YouTube algorithm, as basically it helps with the algorithm because by liking the video, the more likes the video has, the more views that the videos have, they will be recommended under other NASCAR related content, so that will help reach out to new viewers. So do that as well, and I will see you guys on the next one. Tomorrow, noon Eastern Standard Time, we will be running the Chicagoland 400, and that will be the next full race live stream on the channel. Also, we will be running at Road America for the Xfinity Series on NASCAR Heat 5, so stay tuned for that one, doubleheader tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your night, and I'll catch you tomorrow.